folks, TJ here. Let's chat about some upgrades for my Mac Pro 2019. I've only owned it for a very short time, and I've already done one upgrade. We're going to chat about those upgrades, why I got it, my limited testing so far, and what I think about it. You know, I haven't found too many videos about the Afterburner. There are some, dating back to 4 or 5 years ago when the Mac Pro 2019 was first introduced. I don't think it has that big of a following. Although, if maybe there is. Sometimes the silent don't get heard. And maybe there's still tons of cinema places, or I should say studios, that are using them. I have no idea. But in some of the Facebook groups, it seems like most people maybe poo-poo the Afterburner like it doesn't do much. Maybe they had bigger visions of what it could do. I'm going to tell you why I purchased one, an Afterburner, and what I'm going to be receiving today that I haven't received yet that I'm going to be putting in here. It's a GPU upgrade. More of a side grade, but we'll talk about that in a second. Let's talk about, the two things we're going to talk about today is the Afterburner for the Mac Pro 2019 and an upgrade that I'm going to be receiving today. My Mac Pro came with the lowly, most every Apple person that owns a Mac Pro 2019 said this low-grade RX 580 based card is pretty poor, and that's what mine came with. And in fact, the box that my Mac Pro 2019 came in said it had this serial number. It matches my computer, but the place that I purchased it from appears to have taken the very good Vega 2 Duo out of it and put this RX 580 in it. Those bastards. But, you know, I got it for a fair price, so I'm okay with it. But the 580 is a pretty lowly card. There's other MPX modules that Apple made that you can put in that are much faster. There's some aftermarket Radeon brand or other branded cards you could put in here. But I'm kind of an Apple head, and I love the looks of the no-fan based MPX modules, which we'll talk about more. So what's my side grade? Well, my side grade, which hopefully is a little bit of an upgrade, is the W5500X MPX module. It is basically a 1 year newer replacement for the 580X, because the 580X was made back in like 2018 it was introduced. And Apple in their 2019 Mac Pro, their base card for the GPU was a 580. So it was around the right time. But eventually they kept making the 2019 Mac Pro all the way up until 2023, basically, when they introduced the new Apple Silicon-based Mac Pro. So someplace in between, Apple came out with a side grade because Radeon basically upgraded the cards. Here's our new low-end card. It's about a year newer, 2019 introduced, the end of, and it's a W5500X. I found one for a very good price. Hopefully it is working. It's supposed to be. I purchased it from Amazon, and we'll talk about that more. But I'm doing kind of a side grade, and we'll see how that goes. This should be fun. Anyway, Afterburner. The name is cool. Back in 2019 when I saw the keynote from Apple. Did I start this recording? I better double check, because I could talk for... Yeah, I did. I could talk for 5 hours and I'm not recording. Anyway, the Afterburner serves one purpose. It is a enhancer, per se, of ProRes or ProRes RAW, which is an Apple codec. And unless you're working in that, this card makes absolutely no sense for anybody. And that's probably why a lot of people complain, because they wanted probably more capability. But if you're working in ProRes, which I have not to date, but I am now doing it and exploring it. That was one of the purposes of me buying the Mac Pro 2019. I'm upgrading from, you can't see it here, but my Mac Pro 2013 nuclear reactor, which I'll keep using as a home computer here, but I'm upgrading, and I wanted to get something with more capability. And the Afterburner, basically, ProRes is an Apple thing. And I started with iMovie back in the day, and then I graduated to DaVinci, very powerful but very techy. To do some things, you got to make your brain smoke a little bit, at least for me. I'm not that bright. I'm just a common dude, like probably you watching this video or some of you. Just a dude making videos, learning. But yeah, the DaVinci sometimes something that seems like it should be simple to do is not. You got to jump through hoops to make it work. But I've been using DaVinci now for a number of years, and it works pretty well, and it's free. They have a free version. Right now, I am trying Apple's what you would call it, Final Cut Pro 11, the trial, and I may be buying it. I think I want to jump into the whole ProRes for my 4K videos. For my 4K videos, the stuff that I want to make a little bit more cinematic, per se, a little bit tighter, a little bit better. I even have a new microphone coming, so I'm trying to up my game a little bit. So I'm exploring all these things, and so will Afterburner help me? I'm going to show you it does. For me, just a common bloke that's not a professional, that's not doing this, for a studio or anything. I'm just doing it for myself. The Afterburner does one thing. It I'm going to say the word enhances. It helps it helps stroke the Apple computer to do ProRes and ProRes RAW very, very fast. The thing about ProRes, this codec, is that it is a large file. So if you want to have a hard drive that doesn't get used and filled up very quickly, you probably want to stick to H.264 or something, which I will for most of my videos. I'm just a YouTube influencer, if you want to call it that. Not even that. I'm just a dude on the internet playing around with 8-bit computers making videos. I guess I've influenced a few people, so if you want to call me that, that's fine. But the Afterburner and ProRes, I just like the name. I wanted to try it, and if I could find one for a good price, I said I would do it. These on eBay today in late 2024 are still running in the $400 and some odd range. Much cheaper than the $2,000 range that these sold for. In fact, right now on Apple's old website where it says sold out, and it says $3,000. Or there's a letter A in front of it. And am I on like some other weird website? Is Apple make money? Apple funds? I don't know. But anyway, $3,000 it says there. I thought it was a $2,000 upgrade. But maybe it's that if you bought a computer at the same time and you added it while you were building it, it was $2,000. If you wanted to buy it after the fact, like the wheels for the Mac Pro, you could get it installed with the Mac Pro for $400. But if you bought them afterwards, it was $700. $699. Crazy. Anyway, Afterburner, ProRes. I've done some tests. I've got Apple Final Cut Pro on here. And I did a very basic 4K video, which is something I don't normally do. So I made a 4K video of me unboxing my new, I've got 3 now, Mac Pro 2013s, and my new to me Mac Pro 2019. I made a 26-minute long video in 4K. I shot it in ProRes on my Apple iPhone 14 Pro Max. So I did everything ProRes. And then I exported in two ways. In regular ProRes 422, and then in ProRes 422 LT, which is kind of, when I see the word LT, I think of light. The version that's basically still pretty damn good. Your file's still going to be huge, but it is smaller. And I'm going to show you some times that I received on just a very straight workflow, very easy, I made a video. I'm One Take TJ. I made a video, and I put some ending titles on the end, but nothing dramatic, no big enhancements, no TJ blowing up stuff, just a very common 4K video. And we exported it in ProRes in a couple different formats. And I'll show you some times here in a second. Let me focus in on the screen. I don't do, even though I have an AverKey device that can let you record your HDMI, I tend not to use it because on my old 8-bit computers, it does weird things with colors, and I just never got into doing it. So you're just going to have to bear with me and look at the screen. What do I have on the screen right now? Well, I've got this timer because we're going to start a time thing here in a moment, and then we'll come back to it afterwards. But I've got here just a little picture. This is what the Apple Afterburner looks like. It's a very sleek, slim device, a PCI enhancement that slaps in your computer, and it will help you with ProRes and ProRes RAW. I might as well show you now. Here's a picture of my Radeon Pro W5 5500, or do they call it 5500, or do they say 5500 MPX module, which is coming later today. And we're going to do a test because not only am I going to export this today, this video that I'll show you that I made in 4K, to H.264, which is something that's going to take a long time because I've got the lowly 580X. This card does, the Afterburner does nothing for exporting the H.264, which is what a lot of us use. But I'm going to show you the time with my old video card, and I'm going to slap in this 5500 and do it again, and hopefully it saves me 4 or 5 minutes. We'll see, because I know how long this 580 version takes. Anyway, let me close this box. Let me open a couple of pictures. So, Afterburner. My video that I created in... Let me go ahead and... do I need to launch it? No, I don't need to launch it yet. In Final Cut Pro, I played around with a 4K video, as I said, and I exported it in 2 different formats. Before I put the Afterburner card in and after I put the Afterburner card in. I'm going to go ahead and open up a picture that I did. I did a little time clock. That's what this little thing over here. It's an online time clock. And I timed it. And I timed the 422 ProRes before an Afterburner was put in. Let me lean off the camera here. It's my nose. It could be picking too. One never knows. But it took, we should think about it, a 26-minute long video, only 7 minutes and 46 seconds to export a 4K. The thing is, the original file, the original movie that I created in ProRes on my camera is 145 gigabyte in size. What did it bring it down to? 116 gigabyte. That's still a huge file, not a file most of you are going to upload to a YouTube kind of thing. So still quite big, but I wanted to show you the time. If you're crunching in ProRes and want to have it the best video codec and best video quality, that's subjective, I guess. But anyway, I'm going with it. It took only 7 minutes, 46 seconds without the Afterburner card in. So after I slapped the Afterburner card in and I did another test in ProRes 422, it came down to 5 minutes, 39 seconds. So I gained 2 minutes in time. Now, you may be saying, that's not, it's only 7.5 minutes and now it's 5.5 minutes. Still, if you take a big real video from a real studio that's doing all these color grading and sound effects and video effects that are doing a lot of crunching, the Afterburner probably will show you a huge marginal improvement. Even for my little thing that I did that's very basic, 2 minutes off of that. So for 5 minutes, it did its crunching. What did it bring it down to? Still, 116 gigabytes. So it's still a large file. So I wanted to do another test with the Afterburner not installed. I wanted to do it in the 422 LT, which should make the file much smaller, but still huge. And we'll see what times we got. So what I did is 422 LT without an Afterburner, 6 minutes, 32 seconds, which, again, is not too shabby for a 26-minute long 4K video. Put the card in, and voila, what did I get? Only 4 minutes and 26 seconds. That is nothing. The file size went from 145 gigabyte, basically, from my original assets, down to 75. 74 point something. 75. Which is pretty dang good, but still a huge file. Most of you are used to uploading a YouTube video, or me, a 1080p video is typically 2 gigabytes in size, maybe. That's a longer, long-form video. Much smaller. So it's still a Herkin file, but if you've got fiber, us old people talk about fiber, by the way. That's what we do. We talk about goiters, gout, asteroids, all those things that happen with your body as you get older. But anyway, you look at that, 2 minutes savings both times. So that tells me the Afterburner does do something. What I noticed, and let me open up a couple more pictures. I don't know how clearly they're coming in, but if you've got a big screen, you're probably seeing these. What I did is I ran some stats. I normally up on the top menu bar have a temperature stat, GPU stat, CPU stat. I just wanted to see how much of the CPU it was using and what temperature things kind of got up to right in the middle of it. So before I slapped in my Afterburner, and I started doing the ProRes exporting, this thing was doing CPU 72%. It was gobbling up. This is a 16-core Mac Pro with 192 gigabytes of RAM, 2 terabytes of storage, with an RX 580 video card, which is the weakest part of the link. Anyway, it was saying, it was someplace in the mid-70s. It was 70, 78, 75. So 70, we're going to say 75% on average, 72%. CPU was being utilized during these exports with a temperature on the main sensor of 118 degrees. So it went from your normal 80s to 90s, and it bounced up to about 118. SSD and RAM were not too played with, but you can see here that it was in the mid 70% range for CPU. Because what the Afterburner does is it takes some of the stuff that the CPU is normally responsible for without an Afterburner card in. It takes a little of that away, and what that does, it should drop down the CPU usage, and in turn, that's probably why I'm getting better speeds. It took some of that away. It computed things for the CPU, so it relaxed the CPU a little bit, and the Afterburner kind of came in and crunched in. They all got together, and in the end saved me 2 minutes off of my very basic rudimentary video in 4K. So that was before Afterburner. After Afterburner, my CPU went down to the low 60s to mid 60s. Right here it shows 64%. So it came down about 10% on my particular export. And the sensor still was pretty hot. It was up at 119. I don't know if that's really hot on a Mac Pro. The fans were not whirring. This thing was crunching through perfectly fine. But it was utilizing, with the Afterburner card, it dropped down about 10%. It was down in the mid 60s. So that tells me it took away some of the intensity the CPU needed to use. It helped. And it saved me 2 minutes. How it did it, I can't tell you. I'm not that techie. I don't work at Apple. I'm not an Apple guru. But whatever it did, by kicking in its thing, it brought down the CPU a little bit in terms of what it needed to do. It helped and improved my, again, marginal, basic, novice, amateur video by 2 minutes. That's pretty cool. So to me, Afterburner is going to be cool. If you're spending $400 to $500 on it, probably not. But if you're spending half of that, which is what I did, I found one for $250. Plus tax came to $270 something. So to me, it was worth the exercise. So that was that. Now let me close these pictures. We've shown you that you can save with an Afterburner. So if you're just looking at it and saying, yeah, I'm just a basic dude playing around, and I want to play around with ProRes, and ProRes helps your, depending on what Mac Pro you've got and the speed of it. Let me go ahead and launch. Do I even have a shortcut? I don't even have a shortcut yet to Final Cut Pro. Let me get that program launched here. Applications, Final Cut Pro trial. Where was I? Yes, I don't want to buy yet, but I'm considering it. So yeah, Afterburner. If you can find one for a really fair price and want to play with ProRes, you'll see right now I'm scrubbing the timeline. Everything is very smooth. You're not dropping stuff. It can crunch through it at its will. Now, even without me putting the Afterburner card in, this is a 16-core. I didn't have any hiccups at all, but I haven't been using this computer much. But I could also scrub the timeline. You can see it's very linear. There's no extra audio. There's no extra pictures. There's no special effects. This is very basic. So I would imagine that if I got into a more complicated video where I was blowing myself up and doing all these other things, if you're on a lower CPU and you're trying to scrub the timeline, I think on the Mac Pro you probably don't have that problem. On my older Mac Pro 2013, yeah, you kind of scrub things and it would be hiccupy, especially on a 4K video. This is right now a 4K video that it just eats through, so it's not having any hiccups. We're going to do an export. So let's start an export, and then I'll turn off this camera, and then we'll come back to see what the final thing is. So let's see. I don't know Final Cut Pro super well yet, but from what I gather, I go up here to this little, you can't see it, but I'm going to start an export, and I'm going to click on export, and I want to change the settings. and I want to do it instead of Apple ProRes, which is the last one I did. I want to do it in H.264, which is what most people are going to upload to a YouTube channel. This is a 4K video, and I'm going to then hit next, and I'm going to give this a title. Let's add something a bit to it. Unboxing H.264 test test number 2, because I think I've done this one before. I did, and it took 33 minutes, but I didn't use a timer. I was going off of my own clock. So let's go ahead and save it in the unboxing thing, and let's start. Now, if you haven't used Final Cut Pro before, there is a little icon up here next to the down arrow and the key that you can click on that will show your background tasks. And you can show what is sharing. Right now, it's starting at 0% for transcoding and for sharing. Sharing basically means it is now exporting to my hard drive, which is in here an SSD or NVMe, Apple's. And we're going to let it crunch. This, on my first time, took 32 to 33 minutes. Oh, I didn't start the clock, you son of a bee's weasels. Okay, stop. Oh, shit. So you can stop these by clicking on the X. Damn it. Let me shimmy this Schuster. We needed to start the timer. Damn it. So let's try this again. Let's go up and start the export. It should be on the same exporting settings I just did. Yes, it is. Okay. This one's going to be number 3. Damn it. Okay. So H.264 number 3. Okay. So right as I click save, or I think I can hit the return key, I'm going to go ahead and hit the start of the timer. Okay. Close enough. It's a millisecond or 2 off. I'm a little slow. So anyway, now we're going to turn off the video, and we're going to splice in later on. So, as I said, Afterburner, cool. If you can find one for a cheaper price in the sub $300 range, and you want to play with ProRes, I think it's fun. It definitely does save you on the export time, 2 minutes. And I think if you're wanting to explore video and ProRes more, I think it's a worthwhile card. Does it could have just a high-end GPU do things much better? Probably. But if you're ProRes, I don't know. I don't have a higher range card for this, so I can't tell you if getting one of the higher-end Apple MPX modules without an Afterburner would give me the same ProRes exporting times as this. I'm going to have to say, I mean, why would Apple make it if it didn't improve it? I don't know. Some people say, yeah, they make stuff all the time that don't do diddly. But I would think you probably save time. But for now, I can only go off of what video card and stuff I have. So we're going to let this number crunch. It's probably going to, I'm going to come back. I'm going to say this is going to take between 32 to 33 minutes if my original clock was working. And we'll come back and see what it is. And then I'm going to receive a new W5500X MPX later today. I'll slap that one in. No need to do a new Afterburner test, but I'm going to do another test on exporting the same video in H.264 and see what time it saves me, if any. Hopefully, it saves me 4 or 5 minutes. If it doesn't, well, then I've got a secondary video card in case the original RX 580 flaked out at some point. At least I have 2 video cards. So, what did I spend? The cards are pretty expensive. The 5500. So I've been keeping an eye out. On eBay, people want $800 and some odd for it. Now, I'm not going to spend that for a 5500. Maybe a 5700 or one of the higher ones, but not a 5500. I went on the Amazon out of the blue and typed in Apple MPX. They had one during Christmas for $580-something. And then below it, I noticed the thing that said, or used one. We have one used one left. And it was through Apple it appeared, unless it's somebody that's flaking off and acting like Apple, but it said the Apple Store. They had a used one that was a return through Amazon that would come with a 30-day warranty that was like new for half the price, $316. So I said, for $316, I could get a 5500, which should be instead of the old 14 nanometer technology on the 5500 video card, this is the new 7nm. I guess that's what it is. Newer card by year. Hopefully it gives you a little speed bump, and that's what I went for. And at the price, it was worth the risk. So I'm risking it. We'll test that out. So now let's just think. I'm up to 9%, and we're already at 3 minutes. So you can start doing the math in your head, how long this is going to take. So hold tight. We'll come back and show you what the final outcome in this test is. And then later today, hopefully my video card arrives from the Postal Service. I put it in. It works. That it indeed is a 5500. Indeed it works. And we'll run the same test, and we'll see how long it takes. And I'm hoping, at least for my initial looking into it, I should get a 20% speed bump. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, hold tight. So, you probably can't see it because I'm not close enough. It's 33% done, and I'm up at almost 12 minutes. So, a lowly RX 580 base card, yeah. I need to improve that at some point. So that's why we're hoping that the 5500, even though, like I said, it's a side grade, will improve it some. And then as I get some money one day, I'll explore a higher end card to improve H.264 exports, so I don't have to wait. We'll see. This is going to, I think, come in at 32 to 33 minutes. But I just wanted to show you, so far we're up at over 12 minutes now, 35%. This thing is just chugging along ever so slowly. Let me slap the stats on. Where am I? Okay, let's go down here. And go to applications and stats, and eventually they'll spring up here. We'll bring this to the forefront. 7% CPU, 7% CPU. GPU is up at 30 some odd percent, and the temperature is 97 degrees. So we've got 6% CPU. In the 30s for GPU, and so, yeah. So hold tight. We'll come back when this thing is done. Oh, I forgot to plug my microphone in, so this voice right now would have been a little tinny. Bear with it, but you probably heard what I was saying anyway. Whoa! If you were a studio, you would be, be actually doing some work. But if I remember right, when I did my first test this last week, when it got up to the 90% range, it kind of went quicker at the end. But you'll see that it's up to almost 31 minutes. It's 87%, if you can see that tight print. So needless to say, the lowly 580X MPX module from Apple to export in a more common H.264 for a YouTube channel in a 4K. You were feeling glitzy. You wanted a 4K video instead of a 1080p. It takes a while. Now, granted, if you probably did a 1080p, it would be a lot faster. But today I wanted to do a 4K video. So on my YouTube channel, I don't think I have ever done one before. So this one I had shot in 4K, did all that, and I wanted to tinker. So yeah, it's taking a long time. But the nice thing is the size of the file. So when I did my first test, the size of a H.264 video in 4K that I had, 26 minutes long, was just about 12 gigabytes in size, which is much more manageable to upload to, say, YouTube. Now, if you got fiber, again, it's not a big deal, but I'm used to uploading, say, 1 gigabyte up to 3 or 4 at most on videos. So moving up to a 12, I've got fast internet, so it shouldn't be the end of the world, but most people are probably not going to be doing that, at least for YouTube stuff. So we're up to 92%. It's at 32 minutes. We'll see how close I was to 33 minutes. I'd said I just used my biological clock. It's ticking, baby. It's ticking. And it was 33 minutes, I think, when I did it. And so what happens with Final Cut Pro, I noticed that it gets towards the end and all of a sudden it goes grunk, and it says, okay, you're done exporting. So we'll see. Maybe it's a little over 33 minutes. 93%. And then I'm hopefully my card arrives today and it works good. It really is like new and just a return from somebody that said, oh yeah, I don't want this video card kind of thing. And then at least I'll hopefully, instead of being 33 minutes, hopefully it's 26 minutes for a 4K video. And then most of the time I'm going to be doing 1080p, so maybe it will be more like 15 minutes. I don't know, for that long of a video. Okay, so we're over 33 minutes now. My biological clock's a little... it should wrap up here soon, though. So what have you learned today? Oh, there we go. Okay, oh, shit, I gotta close this video. Stop the clock. So it really wasn't... where's the stop? Pause. So it really was... It was probably 33 minutes and 15 seconds, something like that. It took me a while to close the little video that it popped up of me. Anyway... Okay, so now we're going to halt the video again. So you can see exporting, even with an Apple Afterburner card in. We already knew that, but it doesn't save you on H.264 or anything else other than ProRes. If you're doing in ProRes and you have a speedy computer, it's going to be relatively fast anyway. A 26-minute video cut down to 7.5 minutes. If you've got an Afterburner, it, for me, saved another 2 minutes. Time is money, as they say. Unless you're a poor old bloke like me just playing around at home, it's no big deal. You can wait the half an hour. But to tell you the truth, half an hour you start getting a little crusty, and it's kind of, okay, is this thing going to finish? 15 minutes is fine. 30 minutes, that gets a little old. So hopefully this new card cuts it down to 20 some odd minutes. I'll coast with the 5500 card for a while until I can find a 5700 for a semi-fair price. Maybe in a couple years from now, they'll start getting lower because these Mac Pros have come down considerably in price compared to 6 years ago. But anyway, hold tight. We'll come back to you with the new video card installed. Maybe I'll leave the lid off when I do that to kind of show you how mine looks with it. It's going to look just like a 580X, but it's going to say 5500 on the side. But I'll have my Afterburner card in there. Then we'll run the same exact test, and we're hoping that 33 minutes comes down to 20-something minutes. We'll see. Hold tight.